it's okay to fall.
Yeah.
You just get back up again stronger. So that's what I liked being in real estate was I got to help people through that time and then see them thrive in other times.
Welcome back to the Cashflow Podcast, the podcast where we talk about turning properties into profits. I'm your host, Jayson Yoss. And before we get to my special guest, I just want to take 1 second to thank our sponsors. Daniels Plumbing, servicing San Diego County, Orange County, and all the Inland Empire. And I also want to thank Rainforest Plumbing, Heating, and Air, servicing all of Maricopa County, Phoenix, and beyond. We couldn't do this show without their support. Thanks, guys. Now, before we get started, I just want to take a second to introduce my good friend, somebody I've known for forever, former Miss California, Jocelyn Lomahan.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm excited to have you on here. Again, we're friends. We've known each other forever.
Yes.
And now I finally get to sit you down and corner you on questions about real estate.
Let's do it.
So, Jocelyn, you're a realtor at the Barron team.
The Barron team at Real Broker. Yep.
At Real.
Mm-hmm.
And how long have you been in the business?
Oh my gosh, it's been 23 years.
23 years.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's funny because when I get to sit down with someone like yourself, okay, we've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
And so we have seen a ton of markets, but you could be doing anything. Yeah. I mean, you're smart, you're successful. Why are you focused on residential real estate and not commercial, hotels, niche? How did you get to this brand?
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, like real estate in general was kind of by accident. I mean, we talked about the fact that I was a finance major. So I thought I was going to be like an accountant or a financial advisor or what have you. But real estate kind of just fell into my lap. And I'm so glad it did because, you just realize like how much residential real estate affects obviously everyday life. It's something that we take for granted, but at the same time, it's something that we all aspire to. So I'm so glad that I came into it.
I'm thinking of you as an accountant, and I'm like, is that the box that Jocelyn is supposed to be
in? Sorry to say it, but typical Asian, you're supposed to be good at math. I don't know if that's the case. I think that my strength is actually more in relationship building. So
we'll tell that to the ARIA members.
Yes, exactly.
So mentorship. I mean, this has been a long journey, and again, you've been successful. Are you leaning on any specific mentor, or have you had several mentors on the way? Talk to me about mentorship.
Oh my gosh. I've been very fortunate in my career to have had many wonderful women mentors who kind of have guided my career. When I first started in real estate, I worked for an amazing agent that had been in the business for a long time in Rancho Santa Fe. And then after that, Melissa Sophia was another one of my mentors. And now Emma Lefkowitz. I mean, I've known Emma forever. And so I wish I could work for them all at the same time because I learned so much and I've gotten so much advice and guidance from all of them. And I still do. I mean, I consider all of them friends. And it's just great to see them succeed. And I always love being around people that are more successful than me because it gives me something to aspire to and to work towards.
Every photo, every event that someone would see you at, there is a huge group of girl power around of successful women that you're always involved in. And so it's amazing. And you're right. It is a testament to the group of leaders that you have around you and that you've been working with. So how has that shaped your real estate philosophy when it comes to your clients?
I think it's it's a very matriarchal society, and obviously I'm a mom, and I think about my mom. My mom, came from the Philippines by herself, and just was really just kind of like a hustler. Even though she was a nurse, she was a hustler. She just just did everything, and then that was my example. And I think with real estate, it really is. It's kind of a combination of that care, that motherly care, and at the same time someone that's gonna hustle and just go for it and look for opportunities that not everyone sees. And so that's what's been nice about being surrounded by such successful women is that we all have that that motherly care, but the hustle at the same time.
That is true. There is a definitely again, the women I see you surrounded with, Aria, and a lot of the groups that you're on are just be able to find that balance. And I want to ask you before we go, how do you find that balance between being a mom, being a great mom, and then also being a real estate professional?
Right. I mean, you've probably heard this said before, but I don't know if there is such thing as a balance. I think that in some times in your life, you prioritize motherhood and family, and then sometimes of your life you prioritize your career, in different, degrees.
Sure.
I mean, obviously when my kids were little, I mean, sales was not like my biggest focus. I mean, I was fortunate that I had a real estate job where I could get like a paycheck and a part of everyone's commission and some of my own deals. But then, now that my girls are like off in college and I'm pseudo empty nester, I mean, I'm all about like almost every day, my husband and I, Jay, we plan so that we can like network, have quality time, network, have quality time, network. Okay, and some quality time too.
And in fitting times to go see baby girl at USC.
Exactly.
And having, I mean, again, congratulations. I know it's not her first year there, but plenty of trips out there up to LA to have some fun.
Yeah, no, and then that's the thing too. It's like, we always make time for family because at the end of the day, what really matters, it's your family, your health, your passions.
So true.
So that's how, again, if you're going to call it balance, I mean, that's, the big picture is like making sure you have time to do the things that you love.
When you take all this in totality, I want to transition it to some case studies because after being in the market and being in this industry for so long, you've got to have a couple that stand out where you're like,
oh yeah,
this one resonates not just for me, but for our audience, for those of us who are either, aspiring to buy their first home or realtors getting into the business. Mm-hmm. Let's hear some, what it's like to go down this path.
Oh my gosh. I mean, we're going to take it back to the beginning. I mean, I just think about when I decided, okay, I'm so glad I'm in this industry because I am helping people. I'm serving people. Back when we started back in the the early whatevers 2000s, right? Early 2000s.
Please don't date me.
Yeah, I know. Sorry. Well, we were. Like,
I'm barely 25.
Yeah, I was like, we were like 8 when we started.
Right.
Man, I'll never forget the calls that I would get back in that time, and it was from people, friends that were just like, Joss, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. I owe more than what my house is worth, and I don't know what to do. And it was that short sale time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I didn't even really feel like I was in real estate. I felt like I was a counselor trying to like help people navigate this very, very difficult time because so many people are going through it. Right. And there is a lot of, I mean, I don't want to use the word shame, but I mean, you know what I mean?
I can't make my payment anymore.
Yes,
what do I do?
It's like, and they, again, the fact that they felt like they could trust me at such a sensitive time meant the world to me. So I said, you know what, I'm in the right place because I wanted to be there for them. And a lot of times it was just holding their hand, letting them cry, saying, I can't believe I got myself into this position. What do I do? And so, most of my memorable transactions were the short sale times because it just not only like helped them, with that part of their lives, but it lifted a huge burden off of their shoulders. And then when I see them now thriving, and many of them have purchased houses again.
Right. That was going to ask you.
Yeah.
You walk them through that period. Mm-hmm. Did they ever recover from that? Like, hey, we're not the only one. Millions of people were like underwater and had to give their keys back or had to short sale.
Yes.
Did they ever get back into buying homes?
Every single one of them.
Yeah.
Every single one of them got back on their feet again. And it really is kind of like a life lesson. It's like, it's okay to fall.
Yeah.
You just get back up again stronger. So that's what I liked being in real estate was I got to help people through that time and then see them thrive in other times.
Do you, and again, I haven't seen this as much yet, but talk to me about as that period transitioned into the REO time.
Oh gosh, those were fun.
How was it like working for the bank?
Right.
And what were deals looking like at that time?
Oh my gosh. It's so funny because during that REO period, it was very kind of transactional because obviously tons of foreclosures. So banks would come to us and say, hey, here's another, and again, it wasn't even called a house back then. It was like, here's another asset, take care of it. And we'd get the emails. It was almost like just like taking orders, like, okay, another asset. And so, we'd get the address and we'd have to go out to the house, sometimes not knowing whether or not it was going to be sketchy or if it was going to be like a hoarder or whatever. But, obviously we never would go alone.
Right.
And just like, oh gosh, I hope it's safe. So it was a weird time, but it was obviously very necessary because the banks couldn't do it. So we had to be the boots on the ground to go and make sure that this house, they could get the keys and peacefully get access to the house. And again, offering money for maybe a hoarder or a tenant or someone to get out.
That was the first time that I'd heard of the cash for keys scenario.
Cash for keys,
wasn't in a rental scenario. It was in a foreclosure scenario.
Scenario.
Do you think that looking back, do you think that the people that work for the bank that you would interact with, do you think they really understood the impact of what was going on?
No. It was just a number. You know what I mean? It was just another transaction. So it was really us realtors that had to, navigate it. And sometimes it would be going again, like holding someone's hand, going
Right.
to even sometimes a homeowner that would still be in the house. It's like, I can't believe I let it get this far.
Right.
And here comes this complete stranger. Not like on the short sale when it was a friend saying, hey, I need help. It's like a stranger saying, I'm so sorry. And of course they're like embarrassed. They're like,
Yeah,
oh my God,
yeah.
I can't believe I let it get this far. And it's like, it's okay. Here's some, the bank's giving you some money to be able to get out. Go use it as a deposit for a rental or something like that. So that was a different time.
When you were going through transactions there, what was it like to try to get a purchase to the finish line? And I mean, I'm sure you've gone through a couple of those. Like,
yeah.
what was that like? And how difficult was it really? I mean, you hear the horror stories, but
Yeah,
like,
yeah. It's so funny. Like, can you imagine? I mean, again, hindsight's 2020. But the prices that these homes were back then, man, we'd be gobbling them up today. We'd be like, okay, yeah, I'll take it just the way it is.
Yeah.
But back then, I mean, it obviously was a different time, and we put it on the MLS just like a normal sale, but have to disclose it's an REO, and it was like, I had to do spreadsheets because that's how many offers we would get. Is like,
Right.
we'd have to put spreadsheets to like track all of the offers. And obviously when we found the right offer, it was like, okay, great, we're almost there. Oh man, it canceled again for whatever. Because again, most of these are like as is sales, and so they find something. So gosh, I remember in one transaction in particular, and it was in Forest Ranch, which is a very high-end neighborhood.
Absolutely, with great school district, and
Yes.
desirable, and if I could get a property in there for that same type of price.
In the back then it was like in the sevens. Wow. Crazy. So I remember this particular property, for some reason, we just kept going into escrow, canceling, going to escrow, canceling, going to escrow, canceling. And it was so frustrating. The day we finally closed it, my colleague and I said, we're gonna go treat ourselves to a Louis Vuitton bag with our commission, which was, like, because we just worked so hard for months and months and months on a property, and for it to finally close, we're like, we deserve something special.
And again, the only reward in there is you as a realtor, because the bank is like, just check the box, another number moved.
Exactly. They don't realize, like, I mean, I'm sure they do, but at the time it felt like they didn't realize how many lives were being affected by this. So including
impersonal.
ours.
Impersonal
Yeah.
with the way that they would interact with us,
Yes.
or taking time to get responses back. It
Yeah.
definitely wasn't easy.
Yeah.
What about, again, keeping the reel going about, what is it like to work with the typical average buyer or even seller, especially buyer, like that first home, or that emotional experience that is totally opposite in an REO, which
Right.
is zero emotion whatsoever.
Exactly. I mean, I kind of like think about the short sale people. Like, again, even because we do this every day, so we don't.
Right.
But sometimes we forget how much of an emotional, thing this is. It's huge. I mean, I remember one particular buyer. I mean, I first met them. It was a couple. It was a referral from a friend of mine. They worked together, and they talked to me about buying a house back when they were not even married yet.
Sure.
And we started looking. They kind of pulled back a little bit. They're like, oh, we're not ready. I'm like, okay, that's what do you
Sure,
do? Like, it's
sure.
fine. I can't force you. And again, a couple years later, they come back again and not ready. Come back. They just kept doing this, and then I think it was like literally like 10 years later.
Really?
We finally got into escrow on a house, on a detached, adorable house. It was like a flip, so it was like, beautiful. And they almost canceled.
Really?
And I was like, oh, no. Again, the thing about realtors is, like, sometimes we have to have that hard discussion,
Right.
because we care. Not because
Right.
we're trying to make a sale,
Yeah.
but it's because we care. And I care so much to say to them, like, you guys, 10 years, can you imagine if you guys bought 10 years ago where we would be?
Yikes.
I am not letting you cancel
Yeah.
this time around. And I mean, there was tears. I mean, like, they were crying. They're just like, but I'm like, but what? You're qualified. You're ready. You have plenty of, there's no reason that you can't do this. And a lot of times I feel like it's like,
What is it?
honestly, and this is kind of like a recurring thing that I come across a lot, is I feel like people think that they're not worthy of it.
Really?
Yeah. Can you believe that?
It's crazy. Do they feel as if they're not going to succeed, or how does it break down?
I mean, it's a little bit of everything. They feel like they're making a mistake. They feel like, oh, maybe I could use that money towards something else. But I think a lot of it is like, again, we can't even imagine ourselves being homeowners, because sometimes it's generational too. Like, and I don't recall right at the moment, like, I don't remember if their parents never owned a home. So sometimes when they don't see that, sometimes it does take, it does mean taking a little bit of a risk.
Yeah.
But that's life.
Imagine that scenario if you come from a family that your parents or grandparents didn't own a home, didn't own a property. This is a huge purchase, a huge investment.
Yeah.
With half the time the internet saying like, oh, it's the world's on fire.
Exactly. And I think that's exactly why it took that long for them to finally do it. And of course, fast forward today, they're married, they have a kid, they're expecting another kid. And they're the ones like referring other people to me like,
Really?
oh my God, Joss, there's, a friend of mine from work that they want to buy a house. And so they've just become like, one of my biggest advocates because again, their journey is so typical of, first time home buyers. They just aren't sure they can do it or don't feel like they're worthy of it. But
I love it. I love the way, again, and that's something about you personally that I know people know this, but just in general, it's like how personal you are and be able to help people across that emotional journey. Because so many people think like it's just numbers and it's actually not.
No, I mean, you'd be surprised at how many discussions have nothing. We don't even talk about numbers. We don't even talk about houses.
Yeah.
The process, it's more of just okay, tell me about your life. What's going on in your life? Like, why don't you think that you can do this? It's more of just, it's almost like counseling in a way.
You are realtor / counselor.
I know. It's like, welcome to my office. Like, so tell me.
You would be excellent at that, by the way.
So
I want to just transition out of that just a little bit and talk a little bit about like being as a past president of ARIA.
Yes.
Like, what have these outside groups like ARIA, what have they done to help not only your career, but the clients that you work with and the public in general?
That's a good question. I mean, it's so funny. I didn't even know about ARIA in my first, decade of real estate.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it just kind of like popped up. And it's like, oh, what is this organization? Wait, we're going to hang out with other realtors? What? I just didn't quite get the concept at first. But, obviously now I'm just like, oh my gosh, ARIA is such a big part of my life because, things like advocating for the AA and HPI community, like, things that I didn't even know was a thing. Like I didn't realize that, lender applications, obviously they're, were only in English. And so what about people that English isn't their first language? So it's advocating for things like that affect the community. And, it does help being around other realtors. I mean, I'm a big proponent of collaborating, networking. I was with a group, just last night for a happy hour of different brokerages. And we just, we're getting together just to be around each other, say, hey, what projects are you working on? And it's like, what challenges are you facing right now? And so, I found that in ARIA too. It's like a little network of realtors, lenders, everything. But again, we get each other, we all have not only the goal of homeownership for people, but, other goals like, some of the advocacy things. And again, that I didn't even know about.
I would also add in that if there's any event put on by a group or ARIA specifically, and Jocelyn's there will be dancing involved.
There will be dancing.
There will be dancing involved and singing because that is 100% Jocelyn will lead that crew.
Oh my God,
at all
you're
times.
so funny.
I have never shamelessly danced as much as I've had to at any ARIA gala by far. Like, okay, table 15, please stand up and start dancing. And not
required.
for 5 seconds, but for a whole minute. I was like, I can't get out of the way. No. But it just shows, again, your personality shining through, not just in serious moments, but be able to make, when people come together, levity and fun as well.
That's what it's all about, right? It can't be all serious.
It can't be all serious. But talk to me about that. You just alluded a little bit about the lender applications. Sometimes they're not all in the appropriate language for somebody who maybe English isn't their first language.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are some of the biggest challenges that you and your clients are seeing in the market today?
Yeah, I mean, obviously right now with rates being the way they are, it's affordability. And that definitely is the hardest part. And sometimes that is insurmountable for certain people.
Sure.
But, I feel like there's always a way. I feel like people are finally getting over the fact that we're never going to go back to that 3% rate.
Yeah.
Let's just, it is what it is.
Sure.
And, as far as affordability in San Diego, it's like, I mean, I'm a native San Diegan.
Yeah.
It's the best city in the world.
Yeah.
So yes, it's tough, but it's just not impossible. So I have to remind people, sometimes you just have to kind of just get in the market, even if it's a condo, just get your feet wet.
Right.
That's what it's all about. And I feel like you're never going to really go wrong in San Diego. Because I don't know how many people, and I don't know if you come across this too.
That's so right.
How many people leave and say, oh, I want to go somewhere that's more affordable, but they come right back.
Yeah. And I will tell you that not everywhere is so affordable. But you hit the nail on the head. A condo, maybe not at the beach, is actually affordable in San Diego, and it's a great way to get your foot in the door and start.
Absolutely.
And most people are like, well, but I don't want to live there. Like, yeah, but it's just your foot in the door of owning property. Otherwise, 10 years later, you might still be renting.
Yeah, that's true.
The other aspect that you brought up, which is a big key, and again, seeing the real estate industry for this long, rates have been higher than they are now by
Yeah,
a
I know.
lot.
By a lot.
And yes, just because for a year or two
Yeah.
they were at 3 to 4, like, but this 6% range that we've been in, it's been great
Yeah.
for buying homes.
Yeah. I think it's going to take things like this, like us messaging and
Right.
putting that out there, saying, guys, you just got to do it.
If you rent, I promise you, as a property manager, your rent will go up
Exactly.
more and more, even in a soft rental market like now.
I was gonna
It will
say.
continue to go up,
Yeah.
whether it be 1 to 3% or 5 to 7 or 7 to 10. It will always be going up because the prices of housing is also going up, and they're just in San Diego specifically. There's not enough supply.
Yes.
There are not enough houses to meet the demand.
Yeah.
And so that's why houses go up.
Yeah.
And the ones that are super, super cheap are not the ones you might want to live in.
Yeah. It's true. I mean, going back to buying a condo as your first house, what a great rental would that be for
When
them
you
in
move
the
up to
future.
the next one,
Yes.
you can rent it out.
I know, and that's what I tell people. It's like, I know it's not ideal, but you know what? It's going to be an asset that you could potentially own for the rest of your life and pass down, your legacy to your kids or other family members.
We both know people who have used that first house or condo,
Yeah.
6 or 7 times on a refi, or to roll it into their next house, or it's still a rental.
Yep. Get kids into college using the equity. I mean, like you manage the house that I grew up in. And it's like, I can't believe that a house that my parents had originally thought of selling, that they decided to keep as a rental. And I said, don't worry, you guys, they're like, oh, but dealing with tenants, da 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 da. I'm like, bro, you don't have to do that. I got someone.
Talk about that, because you've experienced this a lot. There is a generational change going on in real estate, and especially for someone in your position who has kids over here, and they're in college, and they're going to be buyers soon, and then your parents.
Yes.
Okay. On the other side, what are we seeing that has kind of really affected the way you're doing business, the way you're talking about
Oh my
it?
gosh. So I'm calling this the sandwich generation. I'm in the sandwich generation because of those two things, my
right.
older kids and aging parents. And so many of my peers obviously are in that, same situation. And it's stressful. I mean, you're even though that they're grown kids, they're still your kids, and you still feel like, they're still calling me about hey, how do I file a tax return? Things that we think that they should know, but they don't know yet.
I love that my children are 9. I haven't had any tax
Yeah,
returns.
you're not.
No tax
watch.
return questions.
A couple of years, you'll see once they get their first job at a boba shop or something.
Right.
But then also dealing with, which is probably even more stressful, which is the aging parents, because again, my mom just passed away last June, and just navigating that whole dynamic is tough.
Right.
I mean, especially for people like my parents who are first generation. That my dad, he didn't know where to begin with with the rental property, like getting an appraisal, like for the step up, all of this stuff. And, my peers, they're busy in their own careers and their own lives to even think about that. So that's where I feel like I can play a special part, is to say hey, listen, I'm going through what you've gone through or you're going through. I know where to begin. I know what to do. I know who to call as far as your parents, because it's not just possibly selling their house. It's things like, how do we declutter decades and decades of things?
Of a loved one's things too.
Yes.
Of my parents' things.
Yes. It's not just physical, but it's also emotional
Absolutely.
and mental things that we have to
Absolutely.
take care of. And they think that they have to navigate it alone.
Yeah.
And that's the myth that I wish I could dispel is no, you don't have to do it alone. I mean, I don't have to be the one physically doing it with you, but I can help you find resources.
Yeah.
Or I can tell you hey, hey Jason, you know what? It's okay. Your memories are still in your heart. You don't necessarily need all of the physical things. And sometimes it just takes someone that has gone through it to remind them hey, it's okay. But it's also things too. It's do we put them in assisted living?
Right.
Do we build an ADU to have them live with us? There's so many things, and our population's getting older.
Yep.
They're living longer.
It's coming.
It's
coming. It's right here.
Yeah. And we're all working a lot more in our I don't know when if I'm ever going to retire, but we're still working.
I don't know when. I don't know what I would do in retirement.
Seriously.
So. Final question.
Sure.
Just as we wrap it up.
Wait, but that was quick.
I
love it.
I mean, we can
No,
keep
I'm
going.
just saying,
as my producer
I love
comes back
that.
over here going I'm going to give you the countdown in a
I'm just saying
second.
that good things happen when you're. I mean, time goes by when you're fly by when you're having fun.
I love the things that we talked about because it comes from experience, but relatable. We've been through this, you've been through this, and I want to ask you. Look, if I put you in that time machine and I took you back, what you know now, if you can go back to baby Jocelyn and say, hey,
geez, yeah.
1, 2 pieces of advice that you would give yourself starting out in this career? Because after 2 decades plus, I'm not dating us. After 2 decades plus, how would you, with that knowledge, what would you say to yourself as you were just starting out?
A couple things. I mean, like, buy real estate. Like, honestly, it's silly, but it's true. It's like, just, if not now, when? Right. You know, I would tell myself that and also like encourage other people to. But I think more, importantly, it's like, take the risk. Be okay to fail forward. Because I think like that's where the best lessons come from is, when you fail and you get back up again, even stronger. And I would tell baby Jocelyn that. But I would also tell baby Jocelyn to not care what anyone thinks of you. And it's so hard, especially for women. We care so much what other people think. And the people pleaser in me, I can't believe I'm saying that out loud, but it's true. It's like, you know what? Because at the end of the day, what remains? It's, your legacy, your memories. I mean, what are people going to say about you at your eulogy? It's like, she was a good person. She did the things that she loved and that she was passionate about. It's like, so don't let anything or anyone stop you from doing those things.
You are the nicest person. There's not one person around, and I have personal experience here, that I've ever heard say anything negative, only positive things about you. And there are very few people like that. There are very few people that are like, he's a cool guy, but, he's kind of, but that's not the case with you. So if I was going to send, 1 million affiliates at you, like, how do people connect with Jocelyn and how do they earn your business?
Yeah, again, I am, it's one of my strengths. One of my strengths is positivity.
Right.
And I've learned that through Clifton Strengths Finders. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. But I think to, earn my respect in my business, I think it's really just providing value, being there, supporting me. Like, you guys weren't my original, like, property managers in the beginning, but, you supported every event that I was a part of, and without any expectation of anything in return, but just from the genuine, just from your heart, you and Roy just, like, always supported me.
Dancing at Aria events.
Yeah, dancing at Aria events. And just, and just being there. I mean, there's something to be said. Because us realtors, we are busy. So it's like, if you're not in my face all the time, like, I'm sorry, but I might not quite remember exactly what you do. Yeah. So I think it's just, being around, but also providing value. Like, when I asked you questions about, like, hey, I'm thinking of doing this, and, like, you gave advice without any expectation of anything in return. And that means a lot. And when I refer clients to you guys call them right away, you take care of them, and I get nothing but good reviews. So I feel like any vendor can take, a lesson from that, is just be there for the person and provide value. That's the best thing.
That's words of wisdom from Jocelyn Lomahan. And again, I totally understand, and I appreciate all the feedback, and I appreciate you being here, not just as a friend, but an expert with 2 decades of experience of being a realtor. Thank you so much,
Thank you so much for having me.
For everybody else, thank you for tuning into the Cashflow Podcast, the podcast where we talk about turning properties into profits. I'm your host, Jayson Yoss. We will see you next week.